I transitioned from male to female over the last decade. I think I've been slowly coming to terms with my regret for the last year. I'm fortunate enough to pass pretty well with low effort. Most people I meet have no idea or potentially hide knowing very well. I don't feel like getting into all the reasons why, but I'm very confident most people don't know. Funny enough, I've even gotten more career opportunities and have been treated better because of presenting female. I intentionally stay away from anything female only though because I refuse to take away opportunities or awards meant for women. I have a strong career and make good money, and I don't overly care that I never had kids. On the surface, I should be happy. I'm not unhappy per se, but I still regret my choices. In hindsight, I can see how led myself to this life rather than it truly being this thing that was always there. Sure, I have memories from a young age desperately wishing I was female. I also desperately wished a DeLorean could be used to travel through time, or that I could freeze time by touching my two index fingers together. I think the news stories about young kids being pushed to transition at an early age and people who have been coming out as detransitioners have made me think really deeply over the last year about all the events in my life. It's really made it clear how much I wish I had tried harder to love who I was rather than changing my body. It's a lot to write up that I'm not quite motivated to detail right now. But suffice it to say, I can see how poverty, porns, kinks, being online basically all the time, not holding down a job, and having only online friends, among other things, led to my convictions towards transitioning. I even think there was some amount of ego involved. Now I'm ashamed of my body, too afraid to even attempt dating anymore. I can't really have proper sex anyway, things didn't heal right. Guys treat me differently for obvious reasons, and it turns out that I don't even enjoy being around women most of the time. I'm afraid to show my face anywhere public, so everything public is another layer of anxiety. I thought I did a good job of prepping and being sure of my decision. I remember saying to myself that I would rather regret trying than to be at the end of my life regretting having not tried. Now I feel like a self-inflicted celibate eunuch. No family, alienated friends, new friends I don't care to be around, and nothing in my life but my career. I'm not suicidal, and like I said, I can't really complain about my life. Coming from extreme poverty, I never imagined the wealth I would find after transitioning, but there is an emptiness in my soul that I do not think will ever be filled. I wish I could have a conversation with my younger self. I would tell myself to stop spending all of my time on the internet. Take crappy jobs, make friends, embrace making mistakes and getting embarrassed. Be human. Talk to therapists who aren't obsessed with acceptance. I barely spoke to a therapist for 5 minutes before I had prescriptions for hormone replacements, which of _course_ made me feel great. I hope I'm able to meet somebody who accepts me fully, mistakes and all, but I have so little hope that I can't even bring myself to try anymore. Writing this out was in part to really admit all of this to myself, but to be honest, I doubt I'll ever admit it to anyone else in my life because there's no point. There's no undoing any of this. Edit. I want to convey my thanks to all who replied, even the few skeptics. One of the techniques that a past therapist had taught me was that I should write out my thoughts more or less as is and then read it back. It's supposed to be a way of writing out something that is difficult to say out loud. I've tried to write this up a couple times privately and kind of let myself not get far before stopping. Posting here and following the comments helped me really confront what I've been feeling. Each comment was a bit of an opportunity to reflect on things. Obviously, I haven't written out my whole life story because it was never my intent to try to justify my existence. To the commenters who do not believe me with respect, I couldn't care less. This was not for you and I owe you nothing. I had a moment where I considered taking a photo of my estrogen bottle and my legal letter confirming the surgery I had from the surgeon. But again, I'm not here to get approval. Every word I've written is the full truth, but it's obviously a single page in the large book of my life, so take it all with a grain of salt. On that note, I genuinely expected the vast majority of comments to yell at me for not fitting the narrative that transitioning is always a perfect, wonderful experience. I really appreciate all of the supportive, kind words you all have shared. I do think I'm going to get a therapist again to continue the conversation, but my goal here was really to be honest with myself. I have regrets. Most likely that doesn't mean I'm going to detransition. I think at this point that would do more harm than good to my life, But that doesn't mean I can't find peace and happiness. I had mentioned that I have a pretty privileged life that I never expected to get. And that's all in my transitioned identity. I wouldn't have made a throwaway account if I was cool with publicly revealing my biological gender. My main account is known to a lot of people in my life and is pretty easy to put the pieces together. All of that doesn't change my desire to be honest with myself, though. As silly as it might sound, all of the supportive comments really did help me. I think part of why I needed to admit this all to myself is because I believed that I would be rejected or punished for my regrets. But now it feels more like a thing that is just a fact and not something I need to hide. I'm thankful for my life even if I regret some of my past choices. This post is not meant to be a compelling argument for what others should do with their lives. I'm not an American, I do not and have never lived in the USA, and I am not making commentary on American politics. Sure, I have opinions like any other human, but this was something very personal that I really need to get off my chest and out of my mind. Thank you all. You can visit my friends at swissministry.com